Well, welcome back. This is Algebra 1, Lesson 9, and I decided to go ahead and just do part of Lesson 9D. And what I did is, if you look in your book on number 1 says, and I'm just using some scrap here, but it wants you to plot these 2 points. So, first of all, they provide the little graph for you, but when you plot this point, you're going to go 5 on the x and up 1. So before we can do anything, you got to be able to plot. So let's go here and see if we can do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then up 1. So you should be right there. And then your other point's -1, -5. So I'm going to go over 1 and then down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got this right here. Now, honestly, you're probably going to want to get some kind of straight edge, like a ruler or something, so that you can make a nice straight line right here. I'm going to just try to eyeball it while looking through my screen. But your line should look something like that, okay? It says make a right triangle and determine the slope. So I'm going to get a different colored pen right here. There's other ways to find your slope, but they tell us to do it by making a right triangle. So I'm going to use these 2 points that I just plotted. I'm going to make this right triangle up here. Like that. Hopefully everybody remembers how to do that. You start from the lower point, count how many places you had to go up before you make your turn. So if I start here, I'm going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going up 6. And I'm going over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my slope, my m, is 6 over 6, which is 1. So that would be the answer to number 2 right here, because it says determine the slope. Okay, number 3, I'm going to go back over here. This is what, great shadow here. It says estimate the intercept by extending the line, I already did that, until it intercepts the y-axis. Okay, I did that. If you'll look right here, you can see it intercepts about right there, which looks like that is a 1, 2, 3, 4, at a -4. Everybody see that? My y-intercept looks like it's a -4. Okay, so this says describe the line using the slope-intercept form and then give the standard form of the equation of the line. So it wants to describe the line using the slope-intercept form. Okay, well remember your slope-intercept form is this. Anytime you hear the slope-intercept, this is the form they're talking about. And whenever you make an equation, you have to know the slope and the y-intercept. So look at this. Your slope is 1. Remember over here, your slope is 1. So where there's an m, we're going to put a 1. Don't forget to write your x. And your y-intercept was a -4. So you could write this. And remember, I'm trying to look through my phone while doing this, so it kind of looks sloppy maybe. But that should be your equation of your line using slope-intercept form. So that's part of your answer. Okay, then it says, and then give the standard form. So the standard form, if you'll recall, is getting your x's and y's on one side and leaving your number, here's your number, -4, on the other side. So if I take this x and move him over here to be with the y, if he's a positive x on this side, when you move him over, he becomes a negative x. That's still a positive y, so I'm going to leave him like that. This is a -4, so make sure you write it as a -4. Now that's probably fine. If you look in the answer key, it might have that. Personally, you know, I said this on the other video, I like that first term to be positive, but if I change the sign of this first term, I have to change the sign of all the terms. So this is to be x minus y. Instead of a -4, it'd be +4. So this is my preferred answer right there. I'd be curious what all of you end up coming up with. Okay. Now, let's go to number 5. Okay, I'm trying to do as many of these I can in a 10-minute time slot. Which of the following lines, lines is parallel and is singular. Okay, which of the following lines is parallel to y equals 1/4 x minus 3? Okay, first of all, for lines to be parallel, do you remember they have to have the same slope? And what's the slope of this line? You can tell what the slope of this line is just by looking because it has y by itself. So I know the slope is 1/4. Now, none of these lines right here have the y by itself. So you're going to have to do a little bit of work to figure out what the slope is so I can figure out which one is parallel. Okay? Because I need my slope to be 1/4. If you look real quick, I mean, you can't even tell what the slope is. So let's work on it. I'm going to go back over here to my scrap piece of paper. Maybe I'll move my scrap right here beside this. Let's just work on this very first one right here. Okay? All right. What you're going to want to do is get the y by itself. So I'm going to divide everything by 2. That's what that means. So let me go ahead and write this down. 2y equals 1/3 x plus 2. In order to get the 2 by itself, I'm going to divide everything by 2. Okay, so this equation now becomes 1/3 divided by 2. You can either use your calculator, but that's the same thing as 1/6. Okay, and if you want to come over here, we said 1/3 divided by 2. That's the same thing. Remember, when you divide fractions, you have to multiply by the reciprocal. Does everybody see that would be 1/6? Okay, do that or use your calculator. I don't care. 2 over 2 is 1. So the slope here is 1/6. Okay, remember in my original problem, I was looking for things that had a slope of 1/4. So these are not parallel. They will eventually intersect. Okay, let's look at the next one. It says this, 4y equals, what's the other one? Sorry, I keep moving my phone. You guys are going to get sick. What does that say? Gosh, I'm getting old. 4x plus 3? Okay, you want to get the y by itself, so let's divide everything by 4. These 4's cancel. That was the whole point. 4 over 4 is 1, so I have 1x plus 3/4. What's my slope of this line? 1. Okay, your slope's the number in front of the x, so my slope's 1. Definitely not 1/4, so it's not parallel either. Makes you think, maybe that third one is. Sometimes I even start with the third one just to be sure. Okay, C says this, 3y equals 3/4 x, I'm going to have to move, there's a glare, plus 6. So professionally done today. Let me move this a little bit so I can see if I can get out of the glare. I think a cloud or something just, I don't know, shifted or something. Okay, I want to get the y by itself, so I'm going to divide everything by 3. I'm going to divide this guy by 3. I'm dividing this. If you divide one thing by 3, you have to divide all 3 terms, okay, by the same thing. Okay, hit this in your calculator and do it. But when you take 3/4 and divide it by 3, you can either think of that as 3/12, okay? Or what you're going to end up getting, use your calculator, but you're going to get 1/4 x plus 2. Do you see this has a slope of 1/4? Therefore, C is parallel to the line that they just gave you because they have the same slope. Now, I'm going to do this for you in case you're somebody that doesn't like to use a calculator. 3/4 divided by 3. I'm going to show you how I got 1/4 real quick, if you care. Okay, if you're using a calculator, then you probably aren't going to care. But if you take 3/4 and you divide it by 3, that's like 3 over 1. Remember, when you divide fractions, it's like multiplying by the reciprocal. Does everybody see these 3's right here would cancel? So you'd have 1 times 1 is 1, 4 times 1 is 4. So you would get 1/4. Okay? Even if you didn't cancel, you would get 3 over 12. Okay? This is if you do it without canceling. But then you'd have to reduce your fraction. And 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 12 4. I don't care how you do it. You're going to end up getting a slope of 1/4, which is the same slope as what our original problem was right there. So therefore, I know my lines are parallel. Okay? All right, let's try this one right here. It says, draw a line that is parallel to this line. Ooh, look what the slope is, 1/4. That means my new line is going to have also a slope of 1/4. But it's going to pass through the point 0, -1. Okay, 0, -1. What is the point 0, -1? Does everybody realize, let's plot that. 0, -1. It's about right there. Do you see that? Do you see that that's the y-intercept, and it's going to have a slope of, what did we say, 1/4? So if you were going to use this on graph paper, that means it's going to go up 1 and then over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's about like that. So my line is looking kind of like that. All right, but that's really all I need to do to write this equation, because all I need is I need the slope and I needed the y-intercept. Okay, well, my slope, since my lines are parallel, the slope's going to be the same. So my slope is what, 1/4? And the y-intercept was -1. So it should just be -1. All right, so that's that one right there. All right, so I think that should be that one right there. Okay, let's look at this next one. What will the slope of a line parallel to this line be? All right, I'm going to write this out on scrap paper. But it wants to know what is going to be the slope of the line parallel. Now, some of you might be tempted to tell me the slope here is -6 because you know that the slope is the number in front of the x, okay? But that's only true if you have the y by itself. and the y right here is definitely not by itself. You have a 3y. Hopefully that's a little clearer. So you need to divide everything by 3, okay, to get the y by itself. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to rewrite this problem right here on my piece of paper. None of my kids wanted to volunteer today to tape this, so sorry. You can blame them. Okay, there's my problem. If you notice, if you divide everything by 3, okay, 3's cancel. Negative divided by positive is negative, so you get a negative 2x plus 3. Okay, so it asked me the slope. Notice the slope here. My slope right here is negative 2. And the question is, what will the slope of the line parallel to that be? Well, same slope, negative 2. Okay, we can do number 9. I'm going to maybe do number 9 2 different ways for you. And then we can look at number 10 as well. Oops, I'm up to 11 minutes. That's scary. Y equals 2x plus 5. This says to write this. This is in slope-intercept form because I have the y by itself. But it wants you to rewrite this in standard form. Okay, you can take this over here. I'm going to show you 2 ways. You can either take him over here, which is going to give you a negative 2x, because if it's a positive 2x on this side, it's going to be a negative 2x on this side, plus y. That's still a positive 5. Nothing changed. Okay, I personally would change the sign. So if you make this a positive, you're going to have to change the signs of everything. So instead of a positive y, it's a negative y. Instead of a positive 5, it's a negative 5. And you know what? Since I'm running long on time, whoops, look at me, I boxed that in. That would be your answer for number 9. Okay? Now, let's look at number 10. Rewrite using the slope-intercept form for this line right here. Gosh. Okay, so I've got 4y plus 2x equals 8. Now, I consider that's not technically even standard form because it should be 2x plus 4y. You know, typically you'll see the x term and then the y term, but either way, they have the x and y on one side. They have the number, the constant, on the other side, so I guess that's okay. All right, but they want us to put this in slope-intercept form, so here we go. Let me go over here and rewrite my problem. 4y plus 2x equals 8. Okay, and this is number 10. All right, so we know we need to get the y all by itself. So I'm going to now do the opposite thing. I'm going to throw him over on the other side. Positive 2x. So when you throw him on the other side, I'll leave my 4y alone, he's going to be a negative 2x. This is still a positive 8, so I'm going to leave him a positive 8. Get the y all by itself, so we're going to divide everything by 4. Notice there are 3 terms, so you're going to divide all 3 terms by 4. 4 over 4 is 1. Negative divided by a positive is negative, and 2 over 4 is the same thing as 1/2. 8 over 4 is 2, so there you go. See, this is my favorite form. Ew, wonder what that is. Bug splatter or something right there. Okay, but whatever. Does everybody see I like this because I can tell my slope's negative 1/2, and this is your y-intercept. Remember, if you were going to graph it, that's the point. You would start right there on your y-intercept at 2. So I just love that so much better than the standard form. I honestly don't even know why they have standard form. Okay, all right, really, I think that should be enough for you guys to get started. So here's how I feel today. Whee! Happy birthday to Allison today. Have a great day.